Live in Western Oregon, this is NBC 16 News at 11.
Back home at the White House late today, President Trump, who was mentioned in the New Zealand gunman's apparent manifesto of shooting into mosques, said he does not see white nationalism as a rising global threat. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Alexis Thrower. Security experts don't agree with Trump's statement. NBC's Pete Williams reports.
Police tonight are stepping up patrols around mosques nationwide, from New York to Los Angeles. No known threat here, they say, strictly a precaution.
Our message to them is one of, we are here with you.
But terrorism experts say today's attack in New Zealand shows that white extremism has become a global threat.
We've seen white supremacists move from the margins to the mainstreams and cleverly use social media and other forms of technology to spread across borders.
ADL says right-wing extremism caused 50 deaths in the U.S. last year, including the October shooting at a Pittsburgh synagogue. Authorities in New Zealand say the gunman there drew inspiration from other white nationalists, especially Anders Breivik, who killed 77 people in a gun and bomb attack in Norway 8 years ago. Last month, the FBI arrested a Coast Guard officer in Maryland, accusing him of amassing weapons and plotting attacks on members of Congress, also inspired by Breivik, prosecutors say. Security experts say a common thread of white nationalism is fierce opposition to immigration, calling it invasion. In a document the New Zealand attacker appears to have posted online, he said he considered President Trump, quote, a symbol of renewed white identity, though he was also critical of the president. The president today condemned the attack.
I think it's a horrible, disgraceful thing and a horrible act.
Do you see today white nationalism as a rising threat around the world?
I don't really. I think it's a small group of people that have very, very serious problems.
Ali Soufan, a former top FBI counterterror agent who investigated the 9/11 attacks, says right-wing extremism is not getting enough attention from police or U.S. intelligence.
We need to deal with the domestic terrorism threat as a national priority. So far, it's not. We don't have, for example, congressional hearings about these kind of things. It's not part of any national strategy.
The story didn't end in New Zealand. That's because members of mosques around the world are coming together in support of the victims and their families, including right here in Eugene. NBC 16's Kelsey Christensen has more.
Instead of the normal 5 prayers on Friday, there were 6.
In times of negativity, lots of good actually comes out of it.
The added prayer comes after a mass shooting at 2 mosques in New Zealand.
Very painful situation.
But still, here inside the Eugene Islamic Center, prayer doesn't skip a beat. While outside, police and supporters line the perimeter so the Muslim community knows they are safe and they are loved.
And we mourn with them the violence that has been committed against their community.
We don't have problems with people here. We pray, we socialize with people. Sometimes students come here to learn about Islam.
Mamadou Ba says it's all about tolerance and learning about one another's beliefs.
A Muslim is someone who spread love and peace, who loves his brother as he loves himself.
Muhid Sultan knows this all too well.
Everything about Islam is really emphasized this meaning of compassion.
He says he's seen similar mass shootings as a child in Palestine, but still believes resentment is not the answer.
When you have this kind of action, you have to be aware of it and how to deal with it, not to continue the cycle of violence.
All walks of life coming together for the greater good. Reporting in Eugene, I'm Kelsey Christensen.
Today I am vetoing this resolution. Congress has the freedom to pass this resolution, and I have the duty to veto it, and I'm very proud to veto it.
President Trump has issued his first veto a day after the Senate passed a bill to terminate his national emergency declaration on the border. Trump said he was proud to veto the bill, which he did in an Oval Office ceremony surrounded by supportive law enforcement officials and parents of Americans killed by undocumented immigrants. The president repeated that in his view, declaring an emergency to redirect money from other projects to border wall construction is essential to American national security. North Korea's deputy foreign minister says the country is considering suspending nuclear talks with the United States. She told reporters today that North Korea is very disappointed that no deal was reached at last month's summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un. And she blamed the breakdown of talks on the U.S., accusing American diplomats of being too demanding and stubborn. The U.S. has not reacted to her comments. Earlier this week, the U.S. Special Representatives for North Korea said Washington would not accept a phased denuclearization of the country. He also insisted that the two countries are still talking despite the failure of last month's talks. A group of 19 workers are suing UPS for discrimination at the parcel distributor. The lawsuit outlines multiple instances of discrimination that allegedly took place at a facility in Maumee, Ohio. In one instance, a game of hangman employees were allegedly playing depicted a black stick figure hanging from a tree. A stuffed monkey wearing a UPS uniform was also allegedly placed near black workers. Employees also say racial language was used frequently, including one white driver who said she refused to deliver a package to an N-word city. The lawsuit says managers and supervisors enabled and even encouraged the behavior. UPS doesn't deny the claims, but the company says it already fired 2 employees over the incidents and is working with the Ohio Civil Rights Commission to keep it from happening again. Some of the plaintiffs have been with UPS for more than 20 years. A Riddle firefighter is still missing tonight after disappearing over the weekend. Officials with the Riddle Fire Protection District say Justin Bebo was last seen the evening of March 10th at the Riddle Fire Station and reportedly missed work without calling in. He drives a white Dodge Ram crew cab pickup truck and works for Ireland Trucking in Myrtle Creek. Bebo has been with the district for 8 years and also served in Tri-City. On to a first look at weather. NBC 16's chief meteorologist Carmen Rose joins us now in the Weather Center. Carmen, I know people are eager to know how the sun is going to be oh so favorable on them this weekend.
Oh yes, and that's going to have an impact on our temperatures. We were nice and warm for your Friday, and that's going to continue to be the same pattern as we head through the rest of your weekend. Right now, temperatures have cooled on down to those 40s. We'll see these drop another 10 or so degrees as we head overnight into tomorrow morning, thanks to mostly clear to even some partly cloudy conditions across our region. Our forecast lows dipping down to right around 34 for Eugene, mid 30s for Roseburg, upper 30s for the coast, including Coos Bay as well as North Bend. We'll start to see a little bit more of that fog develop as we head overnight into tomorrow morning once these temperatures start to lower to those 30s. That will continue through 8 a.m. So it is going to be a cool start to your Saturday, but we will quickly warm up into those mid 50s by noon or lunchtime, and you'll likely be wearing some short sleeves or even shorts as temps reach those low 60s for highs in Eugene and Springfield, Cottage Grove, Corvallis, as well as Roseburg tomorrow afternoon. The coast going to be close to those 60s, but likely into those mid to upper 50s. A few more clouds into the evening, and then more sun for your St. Patrick's Day. I have a more detailed forecast on that coming up. Alexis?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Carmen. And today, Eugene joined over 1,500 other cities in a movement demanding climate action from our lawmakers. NBC 16's Alex Hossenstaub was at the federal courthouse today talking to the young activists who organized the rally.
Today at noon, students at South Eugene High School left campus and headed for the federal courthouse with a message. They're taking part in the School Strike for Climate, a global movement started by Swedish teen Greta Thunberg.
Leaving school is powerful. It shows that we are giving up something for something that we find extremely important.
Colin Swafford Stephenson is a South Eugene High student who helped organize the local rally. He said it's aimed at lawmakers, letting them know that the nation's youth are concerned for the environment and calling on them to enact legislation that protects it.
People hear adults speaking all the time. It's special when youth come out and speak.
Will we continue to be silent, or will we stand up for our future?
While high school students organized the strike, students of all ages attended, from college to elementary, like 8-year-old Leila Ferrero.
I'm here for the climate change and for Mother Earth to feel better.
Even at a young age, she worries about the climate.
But I'm trying to change that.
Her mother, Paula, believes protecting the earth also protects the youth.
We are talking about their future resources. We're talking about their future rights to life, and nobody has the authority to take that away.
The Eugene High students are expecting unexcused absences due to the strike, but Safford Stephenson says they left for a good reason.
Why would we study for this future that is not being protected?
They may not have a lot of years under their belts, but these young activists have a lot of passion for the environment. Reporting in Eugene, I'm Alex Ossenstock.
In Portland, student organizers and supporters gave speeches in front of City Hall, then marched to the waterfront and across the river. Portland school kids who walked out of or skipped classes today will be given an unexcused absence, but the kids say it's well worth it.
This isn't just so I can take the day off of school, it's so I can tell the government that I'm genuinely concerned about my future and I want to make a difference.
Most districts say they support the kids' right to voice their opinion, but they would rather have them in class. A new study suggests you may want to pass on that 3-egg omelet for breakfast. Researchers from Northwestern University's Feinberg School of Medicine followed nearly 30,000 adults over 3 decades and found that those who eat 3 or 4 eggs a week have a higher risk of heart disease and early death compared to those who eat fewer eggs. Researchers say 1 large egg has 186 milligrams of dietary cholesterol in the yolk. The study found that eating 300 milligrams of dietary cholesterol per day was associated with 17% higher risk of incident cardiovascular disease and 18% higher risk of death. Researchers say the findings should be critical when it comes to developing and modifying dietary guidelines. Even the smallest amount of physical activity can be good for an older woman's heart. That is according to a new study out this morning. Researchers tracked the daily physical movement of nearly 6,000 older women for almost 4 years. The women who were active for at least 5 hours a day were the least likely to develop heart disease, regardless of their health or age. Experts say more research is needed to see the impact of light physical activity in men. Coming up next on NBC 16 News at 11, the future of food services for Lane Community College. Plus, a turn in the right direction for consumers as Roseburg finally has the clearance to operate Uber and Lyft.
Skycam 16 gives you a real-time look at today's weather and traffic news at 11.
A late-night board meeting at LCC wrapped up with a vote to outsource food services on campus. In a 5-2 vote, the Lane Community College Board of Directors decided to eliminate the current food services and replace it with vendors. As a result, more than 20 employees will lose their jobs due to budget concerns. However, some classified workers are expected to be reassigned to another department within the school.
I'm disappointed. I'm going to be out of a job, but I think that most people are going to be impacted are the students come next fall. What are they going to do?
It's just really disappointing to all of us. A lot of people are losing their jobs over this. It didn't feel like they gave it the time it deserved.
The board decided against outsourcing the Titan bookstore. It will continue to be run by LCC employees. All of this comes as the board reviews the school's budget as it heads towards a June deadline. Uber is back in Roseburg for good this time. The Roseburg City Council adopted an ordinance last month to get transportation network companies to operate in Roseburg. The ordinance went into effect this week, but drivers need to do this step before getting on the streets.
Go to the company first to get approved, and then they come into us. They'll need to show us that they have a valid driver's license. They'll have to provide a photo that we can put on there because we'll give them an actual driver's permit.
Drivers must also be at least 21 years old and show proof of insurance. The permit costs $20, so it says at least one driver has signed up so far. Part of the I-105 project has been delayed. ODOT is postponing the closure of the 6th Street on-ramp. ODOT says the on-ramp to eastbound I-105 will not close for construction this Monday, March 18th, as previously reported. The planned work was expected to be completed in 6 weeks, but ODOT says further review determined that the deadline was not feasible.
We looked at the schedules, and it just didn't look like everything was going to be done on time. And we've made a promise to the community that we will get in, get the job done, and get out. And we didn't want to close the ramp until that really happened.
ODOT says they will eventually close all 4th, 6th, and 7th Avenue on and off ramps at some point in the future, but not at the same time. You can keep up with upcoming construction changes on tripcheck.com. Turning to weather now, NBC 16's chief meteorologist Carmen Rose is standing by for a look at what's coming up in your full forecast. Hey, Carmen.
Hey, Alexis. Well, it's going to be a lot more sunshine. I'll tell you when we'll finally see the return of some rain coming up.
It's the Les Schwab Spring Tire Sale. Save up to $200.
Meteorologist Carmen Rose.
Good evening. We are tracking a little bit of fog develop along the coast. Not quite seeing that over Eugene, but as temperatures start to drop into the 30s overnight, we will start to see a little bit more of that development. So still a beautiful scene over the city lights through our NBC 16 Skycam. A few more clouds starting to build in ahead of this very weak cold front. However, this is not really going to impact us. That's because we have a very strong high pressure system over the region. This ridge is what's going to keep out any rainfall as we progress through the rest of the weekend and even into the beginning of next week. So forecast lows, they're going to be very similar to what we woke up to this morning, looking at low 30s rather for Eugene, right around freezing for Cottage Grove, mid 30s for Roseburg, and mid to upper 30s along the coast. So we are going to be waking up to some cold conditions once more for tomorrow, as well as a little bit of patchy fog, but we're going to warm up rather quickly. So definitely going to get away with some short sleeves and shorts for tomorrow afternoon as we will reach those low 60s across the Willamette Valley, mid 60s toward our south into Roseburg and Douglas County, and we'll likely stay a little bit cooler along the coast into the upper 50s, but still above average. And then we're going to see these temperatures rise even more so for St. Patrick's Day. Not quite in the morning, though. Thanks to clear conditions, we'll be dipping down to the 30s, so another cold start. But then we're talking about mid to even upper 60s across the Willamette Valley. We'll be flirting with 70 degrees, if not reaching it, toward our south in Roseburg for St. Patty's Day, and even those low to mid 60s along the coast. So it is going to be a warm one for the end of the weekend. But again, we're going to have to make it through those cooler mornings. These will last through at least 8 a.m. We're looking at 30s, but warming up quickly. In fact, by lunchtime tomorrow, we're looking at those mid 50s, low 60s, and then topping off into the 60s and then mid 60s by St. Patrick's Day. As far as the passes, dry roads there, good traveling conditions, and temperatures will also be mild. We're looking at mid 50s for Willamette and Santiam Junction, Santiam Pass, low 50s, and then mid 60s for McKenzie Bridge off of 126. So the warm, dry weather, it will continue through the end of the weekend, through the start of next week, but right around the time when it's the official start of spring, our vernal or spring equinox, that's when we're going to start to see these temperatures dip back down to where they should be into the upper 50s. Also tracking some of those scattered showers, which will move in as early as Tuesday night into Wednesday, continuing through Thursday and picking up once more Friday by the end of next week. So it is good. We get some of that sunshine, the warmer temperatures that we can enjoy just in time for St. Patrick's weekend, but we also need that rain. Unfortunately, that will return as early as Tuesday evening for the coast, continuing into Wednesday through the rest of next week. Roseburg, a few more clouds for tomorrow, but temperatures will still be warm in the low 60s, likely in the 70s St. Patrick's afternoon, as well as Monday, and then starting to see those temps dip into the upper 50s by Wednesday with more showers that will continue through Thursday as well as Friday.
Wow, wonderful forecast.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, it really is. And now we have Hayden with sports. What a game it was for the Ducks.
Incredible. March Madness is in full effect. A third game in 3 days for the Oregon men. Can their superb run in the Pac-12 tournament continue? Highlights plus a live report from Vegas when we come back.
There's no better two than two buddy cops, right, Nan?
16 Sports Desk is brought to you by Three Rivers Casino Resort.
All right, I have a confession to make. I don't check my mail often because I'm a millennial who doesn't know what paper is. When I checked my mail today, I opened a letter that said I was supposed to have shown up for jury duty last Wednesday. Had I checked my mail consistently, I wouldn't be a fugitive of the law like I am right now. The same can be said for the Oregon men's basketball team. If they had been playing like they are now earlier in the season, they wouldn't be relying on winning the Pac-12 tournament to make it to the big dance. Ducks in the semifinals taking on Arizona State. Winner gets Washington in the finals tomorrow night. Ducks Ducks were up by 7 at halftime, but the Sun Devils flipped the script to start the second half. They couldn't miss. Remy Martin with the triple. Meanwhile, Oregon started the second half shooting 1 for 11. ASU would lead by as many as 9, but the Ducks weren't out of gas. Under 2 minutes to go, Ehab Amin, all the way from Alexandria, Egypt. We're tied at 67. Sun Devils with possession in the final seconds. Martin, no. Loose ball, Zylan Cheatham gonna get one not so great look at a 3 to win it in regulation. Not even close. Overtime in Vegas. Ducks start OT with authority. Kenny Wooten. We're used to seeing this. Big time slam, but he would foul out seconds later. Oregon would start nailing their free throws to increase the lead. Then Amin on the fast break here. The layup puts the Ducks up 7. ASU almost came back, though, nearly double overtime, but never count out a Dana Altman team. Oregon headed to the Pac-12 championship game tomorrow night with the overtime win over ASU. So Oregon's amazing run continues. Brandon Cameraman has been in Vegas so long he now has to file taxes in Nevada. He joins us live from outside T-Mobile Arena with more. Hard to believe, Brandon, the Ducks 1 win away from the NCAA tournament.
Hayden, this was a crazy game, and we didn't know what was going to happen down here in the second half. You know, you talked about the difference in this Oregon season from when they made this late run at the end of the regular season into these first 3 games of the Pac-12 tournament. And everyone said it, both Oregon players and head coach Dana Altman, the difference is their defensive intensity. But you had to wonder would that defensive intensity catch up with them tonight against Arizona State? And in the second half, it looked like it might. Did the Ducks still have their feet under them? Were they going to be able to push it just enough to pull out the win? And Arizona State started to get hot in that second half, but Oregon did just enough to push it to overtime, and then they really took over in overtime, able to seal the 79-75 win, setting up a meeting with Washington, a team they just beat in Seattle last week. Hayden, back to you.
Yeah, Brandon, really quick, what do you think it's going to take for the Ducks? They're 0-2 against the Huskies this season. Can they get that third time's a charm?
Well, you got to wonder again, what's the energy level like for Oregon? They've now played 1 extra game over Washington, 3 games. The last 2 were hard-fought games. That defensive intensity has been intense the whole time. But I will say what Dana Altman's done masterfully is manage this rotation. Now, a couple guys played 40 minutes or more tonight, including Lewis King, who was the leading scorer in the game. But you'll have to wonder, do they have enough juice to get it done against the Dogs tomorrow?
All right, Brandon, thank you. We will wait and see tomorrow night. Oregon versus Washington in the championship game, 7:30 p.m. An NCAA tournament bid is on the line. If the Ducks don't win, it's the NIT tournament for them, not what they want. But this is really incredible. No one really, it was going to be a really anybody's game in the Pac-12 tournament with the way this regular season has gone. The fact that Oregon has made it to the championship game, pretty incredible.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Hayden. And coming up next on NBC 16, a Virginia restaurant owner stumbles across an antique finding. We'll tell you what it is after the break.
Come on, Dad.
My good life goal is a little more.
That is nearly 100 years old was left in a Henrico County, Virginia restaurant, and now the restaurant's manager, Ruben Veretti, is trying to get it back to its rightful owner. The tattered Bible was found in a Ziploc bag in the bathroom of the Azuru, hope I'm saying that correctly, restaurant last October. On the front of the Bible, the name Eleanor Pauline Dillard and the date December 25th, 1923 were written. Now Veretti has searched both the name and the date and checked the restaurant's reservation system, but so far he's had no luck finding the owner. Nambarati asked anyone with information to contact him regarding the antique Bible at 804-282-1509.
Wow.
Well, if you guys know, then go ahead and give that number a call.
Yeah.
We'll look around in Oregon for you, but thanks for watching NBC 16 at 11. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
You can probably guess how this is gonna go.